In the last video, we created a REDCap project using the WashU REDCap e-consent template. We then adjusted all the settings to make sure everything would work down to the delivery of the fully executed consent. Now we are going to go in and actually create our e-consent survey. But basically, I'm going to come in here to the informed consent form. And anywhere you see this italicized or red text, that's instructional text. And you just delete it as you're working through these fields. Okay. So the first field here, and this goes in order of the SOP, the first field is this full PDF of research consent form available for download. Okay. So what is this field for? It's basically to give people an opportunity to see the consent form in its more traditional state. And it's an optional field. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to do it here today. So I'm just going to delete this text out of here. And then I'm going to upload the file, go to upload a file, and then I'm going to choose a file. And I'm sent out a PDF of an example consent. Now, if you're going to show this in line, it needs to be a PDF. It can't be a rich text format document. So I'm going to go ahead and say example consent here. I'm going to open this and I'm going to upload this file. And then I'm going to click inline here. One thing to check is that this says hidden PDF because we don't want this to be on our fully executed PDF. And then we'll save. Okay, so basically when the person first opens their e-consent survey, they have an opportunity to just kind of look through this. If there's someone, especially if there's someone who's done studies before, or they don't like to look at the REDCap layout, you can just have this there for them to scroll through. Again, that's an optional field. So then here we get to where we're going to actually bring in text from the ICF document. So this IRB stamp field right now, all I'm going to do is delete out this extra text, but I'm just going to put a pin in here to note that it's really important that after the IRB approves my use of e-consent and the informed consent form, that I come in here and I change these to the actual approval date. But you probably won't have any of that until after you've built this and sent this in and got it approved. Unless it's a case where you're already working in a project and you just got approved to start using e-consent, then you may already have these dates. The version field this is one we left on here. It was specific. It's primarily specific to sponsor initiated surveys or e-consents, or there's times where you are required here. You'll notice on my practice one and probably others that you've seen, that version, there's not a version here on this. It's just the IRB stamp that says when the approval is and the other relevant information that lets you know it's the correct version. So this field, again, when we originally put it in, it was primarily used for sponsor-initiated survey or e-consents, or there were times where this needed to be on here. So we wanted to leave it on for those instances. But if yours doesn't have this, what you can do is, I can, this here is you can basically delete this text. And you can do a @ hidden dash PDF. So it's not on the PDF since it's not on your form. And if you don't have a need for them to see it, you could do hidden dash survey. Again, most standard, most e-consents I've worked with, or I should say informed consent forms, don't always have this version number on there, but there are some that are there. So it is there for you if you are required to have that on your form. Okay. Similar idea here. Now, one thing I just want to show here is that copying and pasting isn't always the best approach when going from these Word documents or these rich text format documents. So if I just delete here the italicized text, and if I went to my example form here, if I just grab all this and I go here and I switch back over to uh, this, let me just Control A and paste this. It goes kind of, um, the formatting gets a little wonky here. So you can paste that section in, or you could just, and something weird happens here where I'm not able to um, make it, I don't know why it does this, but if I type this, I can, well, maybe this is one where we just don't want to take the full thing all at once. So that was a good example of why copying and pasting everything doesn't always work. Just try this. And that one, it's just going to leave. I guess that one is bolded on my form, so maybe that's why it's just not going to let it be not bolded. But if it's bolded on my form, I can leave that here, and then I can just and again, just trying to make this look as much like the form as possible. Once I'm done with this field, we'll be able to do a little more pasting without having to restructure everything. But let me get that one in there. Okay. And I believe we have a phone number there, 314-555-555. All right. So, and this one's, you know, this will look a little different than what's on here, but the main thing is just getting this content, this text, to match what is on your form. And so then there's a section header here. This is what you use to basically um, divide up your content onto multiple pages if that's what you're choosing to do. For now, I'm just going to delete this out of here, and then I'll just leave this here to use as I start to paste things in and I see kind of how I want things to break up. Okay, and so here, this one is, its field name is study purpose. So uh, let's put the study purpose in here. And again, we just delete this out. And just to show you, here's where we get into some bullet points. So I just want to make sure I show this. If I paste all this in here at once, again, it causes problems with the bullet points. And like the other time, this is just a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit annoying. So I have a different way that I do this than just copy and paste everything at once. And basically what I do is I take the paragraph first, and this will be the last thing we go over today, and then we'll start back tomorrow. And I get that in there, and then I'll make it not bold because I want the contrast. I think it looks better if it has like dark and light or bolded and non-bolded contrast. And then here you can do one of two things. You can either copy and paste one by one. So if I put a bullet here, oops, try that again. Oh, for some reason, sometimes it works to paste a bullet one by one, and then sometimes it doesn't. I'm not sure why. So let me show you my other way that I do this, and then we'll start back up here tomorrow. So here, what I do is I'm going to save a copy of this. I'm going to do a save as. And so this is not, this is a copy of this consent form that I've worked on and uploaded to the MyIRB. It's not the one I've downloaded directly from there because I don't have an approved one from there yet. So it's the one I'm working on. It's an editable one. And let me just change this to build survey, which just any name, just so I can edit this, and I'm not editing the one I'm submitting for approval. But what I do here is I just highlight the bullet list. I get rid of the bullets up here on the bulleted list, and then I remove the indent. I get rid of that. Then I copy and paste the list in. And it looks like it gave me a weird symbol for some reason. Then I just unbold everything if it's unbolded, and then I do bulleted list. So it's kind of a hacky workaround there to get the bullets, as formatted as they can. But here I've got a field that contains my study purpose. And this field by default has this rich text editor JPEG in there. We can just delete that out. Sorry, rather than click on there, let's just remove it, delete, and save. Okay, so we're starting to get something that looks a little bit more like a consent. I am just going to take these last few sections in another field so I can kind of group the first page all together. So I'm going to copy these together, and then I'll take the bullet by itself. And these sometimes these headings paste really big. We don't need the heading 3 up here. I'm just going to change that to paragraph. And if I want it to be a little bigger, I can change that. And then here, this is a very tedious thing. I'm sure it's not the most fun to watch on a presentation, but just so you have this if you're when you're doing this. The good news is you do it one time. Once it's approved, you should hopefully only have to make minor modifications after this, because I know it's not the funnest thing in the world. I'm just going to get rid of these bullets again. I'm going to push that over. Sometimes the copying and pasting works if it's just a single bullet, but mine has been so inconsistent. The last few days, I'm just going to do this, and then I'll put it up. Oh, looks like it took away my bullet when I went up there. Try that again. Okay. Whoops. I'll just call this study well, I already have study purpose. Okay. I didn't do a very good job naming. We'll do study purpose 1 for this. I don't know why the logic editor just came up, but let's go ahead and save that. Okay, so I'm starting to get a survey that looks like my informed consent document. Now I've got this description, this section header here, that's just because that's where it was in the template, but I don't really want to break this up into these pages. Usually I see the stamp, the project info, and this information all on the front page. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to move it down here so that all this appears on one page. And then it looks kind of like my example here, where this information all appears on the first page. Okay. And then we scroll down here. And our next section, which I think we'll do this section to get a yes, no field in there. And then we're going to jump down to these final few sections with the signatures, just because some of this other stuff is wash and repeat. or rinse and repeat after you've done it once. You'll just go in and fill in all the text, but I want to make sure I get this yes, no one done because that is an important one. And obviously, if someone fills it out incorrectly, it can lead to compliance issues. So let's move to the yes, no fields. And there is an example here that's kind of built in for you, and you can change any variable names and things like that on here to make this make more sense. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to first, if you're coming in here new, you can read through this. It's just a little extra instruction, but for right now, I'm going to just delete it out. I'm going to go to my page. So this is about saving my research information for future studies. So I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to go all the way down to the yes, no, and let's see. Actually, I don't think that goes in there. Let's do this. Copy, because then this will be the yes, no field. So I'm going to have a descriptive text field that contains kind of the lead-in question, and then we'll have a yes, no question. So depending on, that seems kind of small to me, so I'm going to put that up. I believe these two were not bold. And we'll reduce the line. No, we'll leave a space there. And we'll say that is our variable there. Oops. And then this one has a picture here that's instructional, so you can just delete that out, open up here, and click this remove. You'll just get rid of that picture in there, and then we'll just have the text. All right, so we're starting to look good there. And then we have the yes, no. This is already here. That's why I didn't take this last that last row. Actually, wait, is this? This one I put up here. That's the exact one. That's the exact wording from my consent. So I'm going to delete this template field that was here before when I first created the project. Again, you're trying to make this look as much like yours as possible, and that's not going to always be the exact same for every single one. But I'm going to go in here now and grab this, say copy, and I'm going to replace this red text with my actual question. And the default name of this variable is yes, no biofuture. So that's really designed for biospecimens. This is really just referring to data. So to make this more in line with my specific informed consent form, I'm going to say this is yes, no data future rather than yes, no biofuture. If you were collecting any sort of specimens, you're collecting blood, collecting anything else, the yes, no bio may make more sense. And then because I changed this name, I now need to change my branching logic in these other fields because these two initials fields have branching logic, so someone can only sign the yes initials if they click yes. Someone can only sign the no initials if they click no. Okay, so that's one thing that you eliminate with yes nos on this, where somebody could accidentally sign in the no or the yes. If they actually click the yes no first, it brings up only the one that can be used. Okay, so let's go ahead and update this branching logic, and I'm just going to delete this out of here. Sorry, I had a sound playing anytime someone came in, so I turned that off real quick. Okay, so we're going to use this drag and drop logic builder and just move over the yes, no, data future equals 1 yes for this one. Here we'll do a similar thing, but we'll take the no I'm just going to delete this out. And all you have to do is click in that logic editor to get it to pop up like that. So then we have no. Great. This one just says initials future, and we have more. I'm going to make another initials field. So let's just, I want to make this more specific. We'll just say initials data future. Copy that. Go there. Now that doesn't change the branching logic because we're using the other variable for that. Okay. So we've got that. We're good. Great. And then you'll see we've got another yes, no question right below. So we actually need the yes, no field and then the two initials fields. So let's go back here and we can actually make a copy of all three of these at once with new features that came out in our last upgrade with new features. Just click in these upper right and then you can copy. Whoops, let's do this here. Okay, each new field will be added immediately after its last. The new fields will be added after the last selected field. We want that. Okay, there we go. And I think this one is data sharing. So let's see what we got. We got data maybe shared with others. Let's go ahead and copy this. I'm going to replace our text. I'll give this a new name. So instead of data future, we'll say data share. We'll delete the 2 at the end. We don't need the 2 because there's no other fields called data share. Then let's make sure we update the logic because this is still based on the other field. And you can click exit up here if you want to get rid of that. So let's change the logic first to make sure we're going from data share, which actually we won't even go into the other one and just change this name here. Data share equals 1. Click no for sure on this. Do not click yes on that. That will change this branching logic up here. Let's go to yes, no, data future. We'll change that to yes, no, data share. And say no again. All right, so we've got us some yes, no fields. Let's go back to here. Okay. We're going to skip all this because these are just paragraphs and these are, more bullets. We've gone through that. There's instructions of kind of how to hacky copy and paste those in there. And we're going to go all the way down to where we have here. Okay. Everything from here down is already in this. Maybe just to make it look a little more official, let's just add this what if you have questions one. Let's do, actually below this section, we'll do what if I have questions. I'll just say have questions. Use the text editor. Let's see what happens if I just take everything down to this last one. We will get lucky and there won't be a lot of reformatting. That's not bad. I think I've been doing those at 12. Just let me see what's bulleted, bulleted there. Everything comes bolded when you copy and paste over. So let's unbold. Unbold. All right, I think we're going to call that good enough for now. You could probably work on the spacing, and then obviously let's get this yes, no out of here. This should just be descriptive. There we go. All right, that looks pretty good. In general, like keep the signatures starting with this statement of voluntary consent on its own page. So I'm going to create just a begin new section here. I don't have to do anything to it. Don't have to put any words, give it a name, just new section field there. Okay, so I think this looks enough like an e-consent survey that we can go ahead and test. But let me just talk through a couple things on the signature fields first. Any questions before I move to that? Okay, couple things here. Statement of voluntary consent used to have a checkbox here. That checkbox was kind of left over from e-consents that were done before there was a signature field, before there was a signature field function. And that's not needed. It's not on the consent, so it's not needed. All right. On the previous version, it may be there, but it's not needed. You have the signature of consent form. One thing to notice with the signatures for the participant is that they have this read-only form at tag, action tag. Oops, don't delete that. And again, that's because when you come in to edit and do your signature as the study team member, we don't want to accidentally change any of these fields. So when you're opening this to sign, these fields are all going to be read-only. Same with these initials and yes, no fields. They need to have read-only form because that protects them, especially these yes, no fields. It's really easy to accidentally switch a yes to a no if you're scrolling down, if you're using a down arrow or something like that. So you don't want to do that. So these all have to be read-only. Anything that requires a participant's response needs to be read-only form. Sorry, hopefully yesterday was my internet that went out. Hopefully today it's not my voice that goes out. Okay, so these are the signature fields for the participant. It's pretty straightforward once you have, that they must provide values for these and they have the read-only form. This one is just read-only because actually it's going to automatically put in the date that they come to sign the form in this field. When we go down here to the study team member signing fields, there's a big warning here. That's one of the most, it just warns you for an error that can actually lead to deleting participant responses if you have the form open while they're completing as a survey and if you don't see their information up here. I'll talk through that when we're actually doing it because it will make more sense. But you should see that there. It should be hidden survey and hidden PDF. Then each of these, the statement of the person obtaining consent, signature, name of person who obtained consent, date and time should just be hidden survey so that the participant does not see these. That's another improvement, quality assurance improvement over paper is that the participant cannot accidentally sign the study team signatures. And then at the end, you just save and exit the form. Okay, and then there's hidden PDF, hidden survey. And this used to be save and mark complete. If you've got one that says save and mark complete, please update it to this message. There is no save and mark survey as complete. Sorry, save and mark survey as complete. That will no longer be there. Okay, so in this SOP, we've gone through copying and pasting lists. We've gone through yes, no response fields. We aren't going to cover, whoops, we did do the signature fields. And these are all available to you, these instructions. We're going to skip tables and figures for today.